These are the hands of men and women at work in the Dayton area. These are their stories, stories of enterprise. Enterprise, brought to you by Siebenthalers, serving the community for 117 years and still growing. And now here is your host on Enterprise, Mr. Glenn Walters.
Thank you for inviting us into your home once again with our stories of enterprise. The lead story on our program today is a story of growth, growth of a remarkable company and growth of our community as a result. Just look at some of the buildings going up all around our town. Prestige Place buildings in Miamisburg, Park Center Business Park in Butler Township, and of course, the Wright Executive Center, Dayton's first full-service business community. Set on 55 acres across from Wright State University, the center will eventually include several state-of-the-art executive office buildings, a Holiday Inn hotel, banks, a restaurant, and various retail shops. And you may have noticed this building off of Interstate 75, the new home of the company that is responsible for so many of the buildings going up around town. The company and our guest on Enterprise today, the Miller-Valentine Group. Since the company's beginning in 1963, Miller-Valentine has constructed over 3.5 million square feet of space in beautiful office and industrial buildings like this one. That has added to our community a value of $200 million. With us today as our guest on Enterprise is Mr. Marty Miller, senior partner in the firm, and he's here to talk with us today about this growth explosion in our community. Nice to have you with us, Marty.
Thank you, Glenn.
Nice to be in this beautiful building to do our show.
I appreciate it.
What's been happening in our community that accounts for all this growth?
Well, my feeling is that the growth really is based on what happened in Dayton in the 1970s. 70s were a tough time for Dayton. Our companies had to get lean and mean. They became very competitive, and as we came out of the recession, Dayton got a jump on its competition. We were recovering from the recession earlier than either Cincinnati or Columbus, and our companies have done very well.
That's very interesting. But this growth certainly has had an impact on your company.
Certainly has. We've been able to anticipate the needs of the Dayton companies and have gotten our speculative buildings up and ready in time for their growth needs.
Well, that's an interesting expression, a speculative building. Yeah. What is, in fact, a speculative building?
Well, a speculative building is one where the developer builds the building without knowing who the tenant's going to be in anticipation of needs that are out in the future. And we've done this since we formed our development operation in 1969, initially with industrial buildings, and now we're heavily into the office buildings.
I think in talking with you earlier, you indicated that the Wright Executive Center is an example of such a project.
That's correct. It's our largest project to date. We will have 7 suburban office buildings in that park. We already have up a 200-room hotel, and will open shortly a 50,000 square foot retail center.
My, it sounds like an exciting project.
It is.
When do you expect it to be completed?
Well, our initial projection was for 10 years. Now we would anticipate perhaps 7 years, and hopefully maybe in 5.
That's great. I have information that your company is divided essentially into 2 groups internally. What are those, and how did they evolve?
Well, the company started as a construction company, a general contracting firm in 1963 by my brother, Jerry Miller, Dan Valentine, and Jim Walsh. As that business grew, 1969, I joined them, and we formed our current partnership, Miller-Valentine Group, to do the development business, to build these speculative buildings, and we've been at that since then. In 1982, we formed Miller-Valentine Realty so that we could provide a broader range of services to the market in commercial brokerage.
What do you see in the way of new developments coming down these days?
Well, obviously the opening of I-675 and the growth of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, the activities that are planned for downtown Dayton will really surprise people that would come back 10 years from now and take a look at what's happened to Dayton.
That's an exciting prospect.
Sure is.
I've often heard in various industries, and in yours in particular, the expression of a turnkey operation. What does that mean?
Well, with a turnkey, a construction company meets with the client, analyzes his needs, and takes care of the entire land acquisition, construction, financing of a particular project. Where a client may not have the in-house staff to take care of all those things, why the turnkey developer can do that for him, and we've done that successfully for many of Dayton's smaller companies.
See, I can see that that would be a valuable service.
Well, it makes it very easy for the client to get into new facilities without having to tie up his top management team.
That's great. I know that a few years ago, one of the big issues in construction was the question of energy conservation. What's the big issue of today?
Right. The big issue had been energy conservation in the 70s, and we all responded to that and have reduced energy consumption in buildings dramatically, in some instances almost 75%. Today, the concerns of building users is the efficiency of their people in the buildings. The average cost per square foot for an occupant of an office building is $250 a square foot. Now that includes the people that are in there, not just the rent, but the people. So that they're very interested in the space being efficient so that their people can operate at their highest levels. The way we've responded to that is what we call our user-friendly program. We want our company to be very user-friendly, which is a computer term, as you know, which, as we apply it to our business, indicates that we want to build our buildings, have our service personnel all honing in on the user's needs and anticipating them before they become a problem.
Well, Marty, your company has certainly come a long way since 1963. What do you look forward to in the future?
Well, we've taken a look at Dayton, and we've decided to expand some of the products that we offer in the Dayton market. We have just opened One Lincoln Park, which is a congregate care facility for the elderly. And we're very excited about it, and the open house for that will be coming up shortly. In addition, we've recently acquired a 50-acre site in Cincinnati where we'll have a major office complex. We're joint venturing a new office building in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and we're looking for other opportunities like that.
Great prospects for expansion then.
Certainly is.
Good. Well, thank you very much. We certainly enjoyed having you as a guest on Enterprise and having the opportunity to visit with you in this beautiful new headquarters building.
Thank you, Glenn.
It's been our pleasure to bring to you Marty Miller and the Miller-Valentine Group, a company whose dreams for the future are leaving beautiful and utilitarian marks on our community. We'll be back in a moment.
Make your yard a work of art with the design specialists at Siebenthalers. Choose from a 500-acre palette of nursery stock. You'll be amazed at the stunning array of textures and colors. May we paint a landscape for you? Siebenthalers, serving the community for 117 years and still growing.
For over 30 years, we've been an American storyteller. Using films and television, we tell the stories of people. We record their working times, their times of play, and their times of rest. We teach, We train, we sell. We help to design. We share in people's greatest adventures. And we share in people's deepest problems. Problems for people and problems for machines. We observe the unusual and the familiar, the gentle, the graceful, the exuberant, and the playful. We probe the future, and yet we cherish the past, in its great moments and in its desperate and heroic moments. Yes, we deal with great dreams and with great dreamers. We deal with people like you. Your story is our story.
As you know, the theme of our Enterprise show today is the theme of growth. Our next story is about the phenomenal growth of a very young company in a very old industry. The industry is steel, and the young company located nearby in Springboro, Ohio, is Bergeon Steel, a steel service center. In 1980, Bergeon Steel had 150 square feet consisting of one desk and 2 telephones. Today, with 50 employees and over 66,000 square feet, Bergeon can surely be classified as a growing company. In fact, recently, Bergeon was recognized as one of Dayton's top 100 companies. Sales have grown too, from under $1 million in 1980 to over $20 million projected in 1987. As a member of the steel service center industry, Bergeon exists and succeeds due to the just-in-time concept that is changing the face of American industry. As a steel service center, specializing in flat-rolled products, Bergeon supplies raw steel, slit into various widths, or flattened and cut to specific lengths according to customer specifications. It is then delivered to manufacturers' assembly lines just in time for production. This proven concept drastically reduces inventory and labor costs for the manufacturer and allows Bergeon to continue its steady growth. But there's more than the just-in-time concept that has made Bergeon so profitable in such a short time. Mr. Rick Johnson, president of the company, is here to tell us about what the Bergeon difference is. Rick, what do you believe is the reason for your company's success up until now?
Well, a lot of companies, when asked that question, talk about competitive pricing, service, and quality. Well, we have all those things too, but the real difference at Bergeon is our people. We're very selective in the type of people we hire. They have to fit a specific mold, believe in a certain philosophy. We have a family concept here.
We understand that Bergeon's surname is the partnership company. I imagine you would have to form a pretty close partnership with your clients.
Absolutely. We're not interested in just getting orders. We try to build long-term relationships with our customers, in partnership, if you will. We like to share their problems, share their successes, and help them meet their challenges.
You make a unique offer in writing to your customers too, don't you?
Yes, we do. That's part of our partnership concept. It's called our commitment to excellence. We guarantee our product in writing to make our customers part, and if it doesn't, we take it back, no questions asked.
Okay, let's talk about the product itself for a moment. What type of steel can you supply for a customer?
Well, we specialized in flat-rolled steel. We stock many different grades, sizes, and finishes, including some specialty items such as stucco embossed, which you'll find on the interior of the school buses your kids ride on.
On the backs of the seats?
On the backs of the seats and the sides. And what it does, it prevents the kids from drawing and writing on it with their pens and pencils. Some of our customers manufacture the things you see and use every day, such as microwave ovens, dishwashers, ranges, refrigerators. We even supply a couple of state penitentiaries that make office equipment and storage lockers.
So that actual equipment is made out of this steel?
Yes, it is.
Could you describe for our viewers what happens from the time the raw material arrives here to when it is shipped to the customer?
Well, naturally, as soon as it arrives, it goes through a very thorough quality control inspection. We check surface finishes, dimensions, the ductility of the steel. And once it's accepted into our plant, it's applied to our customer's order, and written instructions are given to our operating department as to how to process the material. Once the material is produced, naturally it goes through many quality checks while it's being processed. And it's packaged according to customer specifications and then shipped to our customer just in time.
Could you explain to me what just in time, that concept means?
That concept means that we get the material to our customer when he wants to put it into production, not 2 weeks early or 3 weeks early, so we can minimize his costs.
About how long does it take to fill an order?
Well, that's a tough question because that depends on the customer's requirements, his specifications, and the type of order it is. But to put it simply, we get it there when he needs it, whether it's 3 hours from now or 3 weeks from now. Again, just in time.
The steel industry has changed so much in the last 10 years, and more changes are certainly on the way. What do you see in the future for this industry?
Basically, people have a misconception about the steel service center industry. They throw us into the broad category of basic steel, and we really aren't part of basic steel, although we are closely related. We don't face the same kinds of problems, the same challenges, and certainly our industry hasn't been in trouble over the years. But recently we have noticed a lot of foreign influx of steel service centers into our area, which is a problem that basic steel has faced for many, many years. And now we share that problem as well.
And so how will Bergeon meet this challenge of change?
By continuing on our current path, we cannot forget where we came from and what has produced our success up to this point. But we also have to continue to advance technologically. One of the things Bergeon has done just recently is invested several $1 million in our expansion, as well as a brand new state-of-the-art 72-inch slitter. This slitter will provide better service, better quality, and allow us to expand our marketing base. But the real key is we have to continue to stress our marketing partnership concept, and that's people believing in people.
Thanks for joining us today on Enterprise, Rick, and we wish you the best of success in the future.
Thank you.
Siebenthalers, your source for a complete range of landscaping needs. We have the experience, the design capability, and 500 acres of nursery stock to accommodate the most discriminating needs. From the smallest residential to the largest commercial design, call Siebenthalers, serving the community for 117 years and still growing.
What do you look for in your business graphics? Versatility? At the Graphics Terminal, we've got it. Color? We have an unlimited palette, and color on top of color at no extra charge. Quality? The Graphics Terminal delivers 4,000 line resolution. Updates or changes? Your new slide is just keystrokes away. Ability to meet deadlines? We offer one-day service. We're the Graphics Terminal, the answer to your graphics needs.
Well, we've already seen here 2 stories of dramatic growth. But is this kind of growth characteristic of our area's economy as a whole? Early in the year, a prediction was made that Dayton area employment would reach an all-time high this year of 440,000 persons. The gentleman who made that prediction is with us as our next guest here on our Enterprise set today. He is Mr. Bruce Pearson, President of the Dayton Development Council. Welcome to Enterprise, Bruce.
Thanks, Glenn. Glad to be here.
Well, what about the prediction? Is it going to come true?
We feel very confident we're going to be able to make that 440,000 employment number that we talked about earlier this year. That means about 8,000 new jobs will be added to the Dayton economy in 1987, and we think that will be substantial growth for this community. As a matter of fact, this community has had growth in the last 4 years that has created about 55,000 new jobs, which means that just within the state of Ohio alone, we are the second fastest growing city for new jobs of any of the major metropolitan areas in Ohio.
That's good to hear. Well, what about these new jobs? What kinds of jobs are they?
We think the new jobs in 1987 will come from 3 or 4 major categories, if I could use that phrase. One will be the research and development arena. We think about 13% of the new jobs will come from research and development type companies. We see job growth in the business services. We see job growth in construction, about 10% new jobs being in the construction industry. All told, these 8,000 new jobs represent a continued diversification of the Dayton economy, and that's really what we're striving for, to diversify the Dayton economy so that when those economic downturns occur as they're going to, we'll be better positioned to be able to float through those and not be quite susceptible to the ups and downs as we were in previous economies.
Okay, tell us a little bit now about your own organization, the Dayton Development Council. When did it get started, and how's it doing?
The Dayton Development Council is the Economic Development Marketing Division of the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce. We were formed in 1972, basically in response to having to have a greater thrust in economic development, particularly with competition from the Sun Belt states. We've been in existence for about 15 years. We have a staff of 7 people, and our budget comes, or our financial support comes from the private sector and as well as the public sector, particularly Montgomery County and the city of Dayton. In the last 15 years, we've been responsible for retaining or creating nearly 4% of the total area's employment, about 18,000 jobs. And we project that in the next 3 to 5 years, some substantial growth in 5 particular types of industries that we've targeted for our future marketing activities. Those industries include the automotive component industry, aerospace and defense-related companies, advanced technology firms like a Diconics or Mead Data Central. The warehouse distribution market, which has always been big for the Dayton area, continues to be big, particularly with the just-in-time manufacturing and some of the synchronous manufacturing concepts that major manufacturers are moving to these days, as well as companies that are looking for regional offices. We certainly would be very happy to talk to any company that's looking to relocate a corporation, but we think that there's a real market for Dayton for companies that wish to serve the region of Cincinnati, Columbus, and Dayton, or the Midwest, where they may have customers in Chicago, a Detroit, an Indianapolis, and a Pittsburgh. We think that we're a good location for that type of regional headquarters or regional corporation. All in all, we have 5 key industries that we're going after. We think that will help us continue to diversify the Dayton economy.
Well, certainly the record shows that it's been a good sound marketing plan. It's been working, and you've been doing a good job, and we appreciate it, everyone who does business in this community.
Thank you, Glenn.
Nice to have you on Enterprise.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
30 years ago, when we used to do our Enterprise programs, we tried very often to end each show with saying that it doesn't cost to be a member of the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce, it pays. It wasn't a bad slogan. Maybe we ought to start using it again.
Make your yard a work of art with the design specialists at Siebenthalers. Choose from a 500-acre palette of nursery stock. You'll be amazed at the stunning array of textures and colors. May we paint a landscape for you? Siebenthalers, serving the community for 117 years and still growing.
For over 30 years, we've been an American storyteller. Using films and television, we tell the stories of people. We record their working times, their times of play, and their times of rest. We teach, we train, we sell. We help to design. We share in people's greatest adventures, and we share in people's deepest problems. Problems for people and problems for machines. We observe the unusual and the familiar, the gentle, the graceful, the exuberant, and the playful. We probe the future, and yet we cherish the past, in its great moments and in its desperate and heroic moments. Yes, we deal with great dreams and with great dreamers. we deal with people like you. Your story is our story.
Well, this is our final Enterprise show of the broadcast season. Throughout the season, we've brought you success stories of companies old and new. Among the old successful companies is Hewitt Soap, world leader in soap manufacturing for over a century. We took you on a rare tour of the Hewitt facility and spoke with Hewitt employees about the reasons for their success. Siebenthalers is another company founded over a century ago. Bob Siebenthaler talked with us about their operation. It includes both retail and wholesale nursery businesses, a 500-acre nursery farm in Beaver Creek, and 15 designers well-versed in both residential and commercial landscape services. We brought you stories of new products being developed by Dayton area companies. Mosier Industries, a leader in the pneumatic or fluid power industry, has just introduced a line of rodless cylinders. The new design results in greater reliability, more precision, and longer life in many pneumatic applications. We also presented a report on URV, the unmanned research vehicle being used at the Flight Dynamics Laboratory at Wright-Patterson. The URV program is saving taxpayers substantial amounts of money. It can be operated for an entire year on about the same funds it would take to operate a manned aircraft for a single flight. Mead Data Central was also among the high-tech companies we featured this season. Founded in 1967, Mead Data pioneered the technology of computer-assisted information management, which consists of a huge mega library in which even a single piece of information can be located and retrieved within seconds. This Dayton-based company has completely changed the face of information storage and retrieval the world over. Another such story in a different industry is that of Diconics. Diconics manufactures the 2800, the largest inkjet printer in the world. Now Diconics has introduced the tiny Diconics 150, small enough to fit in a briefcase and weighing only 3.5 pounds. In an unusual feature, we brought you the story of Freeze Correctional Equipment Company, manufacturers of equipment for use in jails and prisons. Interviews with several key people provided an intriguing look at correctional facilities and the changes they have undergone over the past century. And we brought you a look at the inside of a new facility at the University of Dayton, the Anderson Center, which is preparing students for the high-technology business environment of tomorrow. A gift of NCR Corporation, the Anderson Center has been called the finest facility for undergraduate computer education in the Midwest.
Thank you, Luann, and thank you, Donham. You both did a great job all season. And our thanks to you for inviting us once again into your home with our stories of success and growth in the Dayton business community. And as always, these have been your stories, stories of enterprise.
Enterprise, brought to you by Siebenthalers, with complete services for all your landscaping needs, serving the community for 117 years and still growing.